All right, so this is part two of the Groupthink lecture. And so I got interrupted by my dog barking. I had to open the door, UPS. So we left off on Nixon and Watergate, and we were talking about how basically they were too interested in justifying their actions. So when they were looking about whether or not to try to do the cover up, basically they were going to lie to the American people and say that they didn't have any connection to the robbers and that had broken into the Watergate hotel. But in reality, they did have an indirect connection. Some people that worked for them did. So that's the president's cabinet, decided, and his inside group of advisors decided to cover it up. And while they were discussing the pros and cons, they only looked at the pros. They didn't look at the cons. So they were too interested in justifying what they were doing. They talked about how they needed to win the election, and the government would be thrown into a disaster if the Democrats won, and they needed to cover it up. And they only looked at the advantages of covering up and the pros. They didn't look at the cons, which is that there was a very good chance they could get caught, and if they were caught, it would damage our democracy forever, which is pretty much what happened. So that was something. Just only looking at the pros and not the cons, which Janus, who came up with the idea of groupthink, he called that the justifying. All right, and the next step we have members apply pressure to those who don't support the group. Okay, so with this, what we have is a situation where basically the people, there's a lot of times there's these goons, and basically if anybody in the group is starting to offer a different point of view, which might actually be a valid point of view, they put pressure on them and threaten them or tease them or bully them, basically, and so that ends up being what happens there. So that's a bad thing that can happen as well.